Hi, my name is James Moore, and I did the Great Migration. So let's start this from the beginning. All right, top 10 things I learned this semester in Health 330. So many Blacks before the Great Migration actually lived on plantations still, kind of under indentured servitude, basically. Um, they were free technically because of the 15th Amendment. However, because of the Reconstructive Act under the president after Abe and Jim Crow laws, they actually were really confined in their ability to grow and actually do things. And then World War I creates the first boom, and World War II creates the second boom for Blacks to actually migrate. So you're seeing a map of the concentration of the South and how the concentration of Blacks in the South and how they moved further away to different cities looking for jobs because people were actually recruiting. The problem was that when they got to these places, there were redlining and gerrymandering and other sorts of coveting laws that prohibited them from moving into different areas. So it made it so that they couldn't get land, which they were used to. It also made it so that they couldn't own certain properties or live in certain neighborhoods. Um, After World War I and World War II, many people came back from the war, including Blacks, and didn't have jobs. But this kind of led to more racial tensions and eventually led to race riots where a group of white people killed a Black kid in the north in Chicago. And it led to race riots there. And then in the South, there was lynchings going on. So they're trying to escape the South with all of the bad things going on. And then in return, the North is also treating them horrible, which kind of alludes to this notion that the North is better than the South, but in reality, it wasn't. It was pretty much the same. The South was just more blatant, I guess is what you could say. So the ripples of the Great Migration we still see today. Because of the covenant laws, basically prohibiting people from moving into these areas, you got higher levels of segregation, such as Chicago is Chicago is the highest segregated city in the nation currently. It has been for a long time. And what you see is in these really high concentrated areas of segregation, there's increased firearm homicides that are actually directly correlated with higher levels of segregation. And Blacks dealing with this have kind of attempted several times to kind of restart their own society. We saw this in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they had Black Wall Street. And the government and other racist people went in and killed a lot of innocent Blacks and burned down the city. And that is called the Tulsa Race Massacre. But there were certain positions where society kind of greeted them or allowed them to have their own. And they did it really well, and that's the Harlem Renaissance. And the Harlem Renaissance kind of sparked a ability to view people of your own race in the Black community that wasn't there before. So you had people like Bill Russell or some other poets that kind of paved the way for others to come. And some people that have seen this blessing is due to the Great Migration was Denzel Washington, Jackie Robinson, James Earl Jones, all people whose parents moved with the Great Migration and they grew up seeing people in places like Harlem and actually experiencing a visual representation of what it would be like to be a successful Black person. And because of the Great Migration, we now currently see a bunch of people who are influenced currently, whether it be music or art, Elvis, country, rock and roll, or hip hop. The Great Migration played a lot into that.